time to wake up. It's 5, and we're live.
Oh, is this thing on? I don't care. I want him to hear.
This is the Pregame Show, your early morning shot of sports on 95.7 The Game. Come on!
Final score tonight here in Denver. The Nuggets win 119-115. And the Warriors' losing streak is now 5. And they have 3 tough home games upcoming against Houston and Minnesota to try to right themselves and get themselves out of this funk. And it's not going to be easy.
No, it's not. Tim Roy on the call there last night as the Golden State Warriors fall in Denver, 119-115. And welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It's the Pregame Show with Joe Spadoni. And you got me for the next hour here on 95.7 The Game, leading up to the morning roast. We got a lot to get into. Obviously, reaction to this Warriors debacle, this stretch right now is just not good. And for as great as the feels were at the start of the season and the vibes and everything and the depth and the strength of numbers, that has reared its ugly head as of late. All of a sudden, you're the best team in the Western Conference, then you look up, you're a play-in team. Life comes at you fast. Shout out Ferris Bueller. So I want to hear from Dub Nation today. This is a frustrating loss. That's the loss that you get angry about. You're frustrated. You're like, I want to hear the passion from Dub Nation this morning. 888-957-9570, because that's a game you had. The Nuggets have not been awesome this year. They haven't been great by any stretch of the imagination. They haven't been. They're 5-5 in their last 10. They've been an average team as of late. Not like the Warriors have been world beaters. They've now lost 5 in a row, but that was a game you had in your hand. And, you know, I feel like Denny Green right now. They are who we thought they were, and you let them off the hook. But are the Warriors, are they who we thought they were? As I go retrospective here. Introspective. Some sort of spective. Is this more of who the Warriors are going to be than not? I mean, no Draymond Green, and that was a brutal blow. And that's what was frustrating about this too, because it felt like you're going to get a win without your second best player. At least in a matchup when you felt like you needed him against the Joker. And, you know, for the most part, you know, Nikola Jokic is going to get his, but Draymond makes it tougher, right? And, of course, Nikola Jokic yesterday, 38 points, 10 boards, 6 assists, 5 steals for the Joker. God. He's incredible. He's probably going to win his 4th MVP this season if he just keeps doing what he's doing. Like, he's that good. Yeah, he played 40 minutes. He was amazing. And not having Draymond Green out there, it sucks. And he's dealing with the calf strain, and he was talking about on his podcast with Baron Davis that he doesn't feel good about it. Let's just say that. We'll get that sound as the show goes on, but what went wrong during this 5-game losing streak, Warriors fans? What's going on? Now, you can look at, you know, the rotation. You could look at the depth. You could look at the consistency. You could look at, you know, maybe you just don't have enough good players, like quality premium players surrounding Stephen Curry. When your number 2, for the most part of the team, is a guy coming off the bench scoring in Buddy Hield, and he gives you 21 minutes last night, 2 of 8, and then 2 of 6 from beyond the arc, like 6 points, that's not going to cut it. And you got Moses Moody in there. God love him. He's led the bench in scoring, but he's not getting consistent minutes still. 4 of 10 yesterday from the floor, 2 of 6 from beyond the arc. Gets to the free throw line a couple times. He had 13 points. Podziemski, better efficiency yesterday from the scoring, but he had some boneheaded mistakes too. And Steve Kerr called him out multiple times, especially on that Michael Porter Jr. 4-point play. Steph, wasn't his greatest night. But you know what? He was still making some clutch baskets late. If Stephen Curry is not on his A game, and this is what happened last year, and I thought the Warriors are past this, and maybe shame on me, 20 games into the season, maybe it was too early to start crowning them as a bona fide playoff team. But if Steph Curry's not on his A game, the Warriors don't have a number 2 option right now to lean on scoring wise. And if you don't have that, it's going to be very difficult to win. I juxtapose it with, what's going on with the Lakers right now, and LeBron James is getting older. And if Anthony Davis is not on his A game, I'm not expecting LeBron to be on there all the time, and you're going to have a stinker like they did against the Minnesota Timberwolves. And both the Lakers and the Warriors were playing very well early parts of the season, and now they're looking like the projected play-in teams that the national media had them as, and a lot of us had them as at the start of the season. So good morning to all of you just getting off work, getting ready for school. 888-957-9570. Happy holidays to all of you, lovely people. And I want to hear from you this morning. And you could do it in a variety of ways. Obviously, the Comcast Biz text line, or calling in, the number I have been giving all morning long, 888-957-9570. Also hit us up on Twitch, Twitter, or YouTube, all powered by First NorCal Credit Union. Go ahead and give me a follow at Spadoni_Joe on X. You can also download the free Odyssey app and thousands of other stations on that app that are free to listen to as well. So download that, take us wherever you need to go, and all Warriors games are right there on the Odyssey app as well. All right, Steve Kerr, talk about it.
Brown called a timeout. He dove on the floor. He rolled over. Everybody saw it except for the 3 guys we hired to do the games, and that makes me angry. This is that's a technical foul. They don't have a timeout left. It's a technical foul. We shoot a free throw. We get the ball. We got a chance to win the game. They all told me they didn't see it. He dives on the floor and rolls over, and he goes timeout. It's up to the referees to see. That's why we have 3 of them. Somebody's got to see it. So that made me mad.
And he should be mad. It's a joke. The fact that Christian Brown did that, and we have the technology to go back and say, hey, and point him out in 4K. Hey, what are we doing? Technical foul in possession, yeah, and we're making that technical because they have Stephen Curry. So it was a bad night there. It was bad, but also don't blow a 9-point lead that late in the game. Don't make boneheaded mistakes late in the game. Don't rely on Andrew Wiggins and his ball handling ability late in the game. Too many boneheaded mistakes, and you're in Denver, you're on the road, you're in altitude. I know the Nuggets haven't been as good as they have been in the past. They still have the best player in the NBA, Nikola Jokic. They still have dynamic playmakers in Eric Gordon, who has come back. Jamal Murray, who has not been great this season. Wasn't great last night, to be honest. Michael Porter Jr., he played well. And then Christian Brown, off the bench, he got to the line. And that was really the difference in this game. The free throw disparities, my goodness. 35 attempts for the Denver Nuggets, 21 for the Golden State Warriors. What's that tell me? Well, not only are you not being physical with the dribble drive penetrations, you're just also being dumb on the opposite end. You're giving them what they want. And I know Steve Kerr is, mad at the officials at the end there, and I don't think they were the greatest yesterday, but at the same time, you cannot give them freebies. Especially on a 4-game losing streak, you cannot give the opposing team freebies at the line because they're going to make you pay. 28 of 35. They shot 80% from the free throw line. And that was ultimately the difference in the game. And the lack of execution right now during this losing streak, it's not pretty. It's reminding me of the Warriors of the last couple seasons. And I thought we were past that. Are we? Is this just a blip in the radar, Warriors fans? Or is this a sign of things to come for the rest of the season? From the Comcast Business text line. 209 510. Slow-mo can handle the ball better than the flustered pods. Okay. Listen, Brandon Podziemski right now, God love the guy. It's tough to watch. Again, last night shooting-wise, he was okay. 6 of 11, 13 points, solid. But on the defensive end, it's not pretty. And that foul he had on Michael Porter Jr. late was not good. And he's played poorly this season. There's no sugarcoating it. We're not going to do a sugarcoat job a la Joe Lacob. We're just not.
I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You can sit here and do a sugarcoat job.
And I think a lot of fans are upset because a lot of fans wanted to part ways with Podziemski to get a big name and a big fish. And what do the Warriors say? And all the reports say constantly, Podziemski's the guy they want to build around. Podziemski's a guy they'd like to keep for the future of this team. Podziemski. Well, here is Pods talking about his poor play this season.
I mean, I agree. I played poorly defensively. I think there was just a point defensively where I was just kind of pressing too much and trying too hard. You know, I think one of the turnovers I had where I threw it to Trace, I could have bounced it to him earlier. The other one to Wiggs just kind of slipped out of my hands when I was throwing it. Like I said, I think I was just trying too hard to defensively just kind of stick with Michael Porter and end up fouling him twice. You know, definitely not like me and definitely, you know, something I'm not proud of. And I know, you know, when I kind of made their runs, it was because of me either fouling or turning the ball over. So I know I'm going to be better. I know I'm going to be better. And, you know, it just sucks we didn't win.
Steve Kerr also was very disappointed in Podziemski's performance last night, and he let him know that in the postgame afterwards.
So Pod's a hell of a player, but he needs to, and I've told him this, he needs to be a smart player. You know, he's one of our guys who's capable of making really good decisions. He had a lob when we were up 12 in the late second quarter that was frankly insane. It's a 5-on-4. You just keep hitting singles, throw the ball to the open guy. He had the same play last week against Brooklyn where he tried to throw a lob over his shoulder. He cannot be that guy, you know, and he can't foul jump shooters. So I love Brandon. He's a hell of a player. He's got a hell of a future ahead of him. But I hope he watches this clip right now of me talking because he needs to hear it. He's got to be a smart, tough, great decision maker, and he's very capable of it, but that's his next step.
Wow, dude. That is as critical I have heard of a Steve Kerr over any player I've in quite some time. Like, wow. Exactly, Chris Rock. Wow, dude. I have not heard Steve Kerr be that critical of a player after a game, and I get it. He was heated. He was pissed, but they're going through it right now. It's a 5-game losing streak, folks. It's a 5-game losing streak. Oh, and by the way, because I know all of you care about the Emirates NBA Cup, the Warriors will play in the quarterfinals of the NBA Cup next Wednesday in Houston. The winner goes on to Las Vegas and faces the winner of the Thunder and the Mavericks. So there you go. Rockets coming out to play.
The Rockets coming out to play.
God, they missed him last night, Draymond Green. They did. And the calf strain is concerning. Dr. Brian Feely, UCSF Health, joined the Morning Roast yesterday, and he is not optimistic that he's coming back anytime soon. And if there's a calf strain, like, we kind of know this, right? And I know it's not the NFL, but especially in the NBA, those things doesn't go away in a week. 2. It's usually 3. Maybe 4, like, depending on the severity of it, and they're going to get an MRI, and they were talking about it yesterday. Everything just seemed fine. Just in a blink of an eye. The Warriors, 5-game losing streak. Life comes at you fast. I said at the start. It's a early test for this team. And we talked about it in this month of December. We're going to find out who this Golden State Warriors team is. Are they a playoff team or are they still a play-in team? And right now, I'm leaning towards they're a play-in team. And just 2 weeks ago, I was singing their praises and said, hey, then I think they've upgraded to a playoff team. Now they're a play-in team. And can it fluctuate back? Can they go on a run? Sure. It's still early enough in the season, but they're a play-in team right now. 925. Nothing makes me more hyped than watching multimillionaires compete in a tournament for a cash prize. Yeah. Hey, 925, you're not wrong with that assessment. I can't get over Steve Kerr going at Podziemski. I'm sorry. I know he's been poor this year. And the 5 foul, they were atrocious yesterday. And it was not good. Kuminga had 4 fouls. Looney fouled out. They were hacking yesterday. One more time. Steve Kerr on Brandon Podziemski.
So Pod's a hell of a player, but he needs to, and I've told him this, he needs to be a smart player. He's one of our guys who's capable of making really good decisions. He had a lob when we're up 12 in the late second quarter that was frankly insane. It's a 5-on-4. You just keep hitting singles, throw the ball to the open guy. He had the same play last week against Brooklyn where he tried to throw a lob over his shoulder. He cannot be that guy, and he can't foul jump shooters. So I love Brandon. He's a hell of a player. He's got a hell of a future ahead of him. But I hope he watches this clip right now of me talking because he needs to hear it. He's got to be a smart, tough, great decision maker, and he's very capable of it, but that's his next step.
Steve Kerr was like all those teachers that you had during the parent-teacher conferences. Like, hey, he's just really smart. If he just applied himself, he could be an A student instead of a C student. It just needs to apply himself and get rid of the boneheaded mistakes of talking in class all the time and doing this, doing that. He gave me teacher vibes during PTA meetings right there. Oh, I think he's a smart player. He's going to be a great player in the future, but I'm just going to tell him he just did some insanely idiotic things throughout this game. And he did. He did. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. There was even an interaction during the game where Steve was going into him. And Pods talked about that after the game.
Nah, he was just like, if you didn't follow him, let me know. If you did, let me know that as well. But it was more so he was just kind of getting on me to do my job, know what I'm supposed to be doing out there. And he's like, if you can't do your job, I'm going to pull you out. And I think, I followed it up with a floater, a drop kick swing to Wiggs for a wing three, and then a pull-up jump shot. And so he just got on me a little bit, which, I'm all for. I'm trying to get better. He knows he can get on me, and I'm not going to, respond emotionally, and I'm just going to go out there and hoop. And, amidst the bad things that, are glaring because we lost, I think me and the guys, we did a lot of great things tonight. I think Moses was great. GP was great. And so we're going to need that, especially, playing the same team two times.
888-957-9570. Nuggets 119. Warriors 115. We're reacting to the loss this morning. What was the most frustrating aspect of that loss for you yesterday? Warriors fans, 888-957-9570. I'm going to go in blind here because I don't have Sammy in the back because, Sam doesn't have to do everything on this show because he's already doing that for the morning roast. 707. That's the next number I'm going to here. So I'm going in blind. 707. What's your name? Where are you calling from? What do you got on the Dubs? Oh, check that. I'm going to put you back on hold real quick because I got something I got to talk about. And 925, I'm going to put you on hold too. Hold on. Everyone hold. Hold. Because there's a lot of people that are angry and upset. I need to hear from Stephen Curry first and foremost before I get to the calls because I feel like Steph, and he's kind of been hinting at this during the losing streak. I don't know if he's as high on this team as we all might think we are heading into this season, right? Heading into this stretch when they were, 12 and whatever, and they were on top of the world, and they were great, and they were first or second in the Western Conference, and here's Steph talking about maybe needing to experiment and try different things. 20 games into the season, we're experimenting?
We've had some dry spells at the end of first quarter, start of the second, and same in third and fourth. We wanted to just change it up. When you lose, you got to experiment. You got to try different things. I've done it years past when the opportunity presents itself, I'll say. And I think I'll figure out my rhythm. I got to make more shots and, be able to put the ball in the basket more consistently. But I think the offense that we created, the energy we play with, I adjusted really well to it. So who knows how long it'll last, but we're trying to get out of this hole any way we can. And, you got to play a little desperate, try desperate things at this point.
All right, we'll try another desperate caller over here. 707, I got you now. What you got? What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the pregame show, Joe Spadoni.
Hey, this is the coach in Vallejo.
Oh, coach. Oh, I'm so honored. You don't usually call this early. What's up, man?
Hey, I'm up early, getting ready to do my morning run. I like to run at daybreak, watch the sunrise.
No, absolutely. It's been beautiful, too, yeah.
It has been. Joe, I like you because, in a sense, you call it as you see it, and you don't cater necessarily to one player. And you're one of the few that's willing to call out Brandon Podziemski. Now, I'm not blaming Brandon so much as I'm blaming Steve Kerr for putting so much stock into Podziemski, okay? He's okay at best, and right now, he really shouldn't be in the rotation. And they're losing games because Kerr is forcing 25 minutes a night of Brandon Podziemski. He's not a 25-minute player. He almost single-handedly lost that game for the Warriors last night. The double standards of Podziemski versus Kuminga versus Moody, it's glaring. And I don't know, Joe, how much you're on the Warrior fan pages, and there's hundreds of them out there.
Sure.
Podziemski is being vilified out there. I mean, he's looking like the second Jordan Poole out there for his favoritism and play regardless through his mistakes. And fans they're tired of Podziemski. They want to see him sit the bench and think about it for a while, the same way as any other Warrior. But for some reason, Steve Kerr will not do that, and it's costing the Warriors some games, Joe.
It's a good point, Coach. I appreciate it. Enjoy your run this morning. 888-957-9570. Listen, he's just not been good this year. I don't think there's, and I'm not hard. Like, I don't have a problem with Brandon Podziemski's player. He had a good rookie year. He was asked to do a lot, and he was at a very good rookie season. But they call it a sophomore slump for a reason. And he's been slumping hard. I mean, he's asked to be a starter right now. I don't think he is a starter. I think he's a backup point guard. I think that's going to be his role in the NBA going forward. On a contending team, maybe. Maybe on a different team, he's, has a role in the starting role. I don't know. But in the Western Conference, when I'm looking at the lineup that the Denver Nuggets have out there, that was a championship lineup. And Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr., Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, and Christian Brown. Like, Kuminga, Looney, Wiggins, Curry, Podziemski just doesn't stack up to that at the end of the day. It doesn't. And what happened at the end of the game? The Nuggets leaned on their starters to bring them home. And Warriors were leaning on the likes of Brandon Podziemski and Jonathan Kuminga and, Andrew Wiggins to handle the ball. And listen, Andrew Wiggins, I think he's been pretty damn good throughout this season. He didn't have his greatest shooting night last night. It wasn't his greatest game. I think you're still getting a hell of a defender every single night from Wiggins. I'm not going to be too upset about his performance, but it does highlight, again, the need for a bona fide number two on this Warriors squad. And I know Andrew was that a couple of seasons ago when they went on that run and it was amazing and he was great and he was an all-star that season. I don't know if he could be that guy again. I don't know if he could harness all of that throughout a season and be that guy again. He's shooting 41% from the three-point line this year. He's averaging 17 points, 4 boards, 2 assists. I've liked what I've seen. It's a great improvement from whatever last year was, which is easily his worst year as a pro. It felt like anyways, definitely with the Warriors. But I need more from Andrew Wiggins if I'm going to be without a Draymond Green going forward. I need more. I need everyone to step up more. And this is where, again, we didn't know really who DeAnthony Melton was as a Golden State Warrior. We didn't. He played a handful of games. Like, we just never knew. But I do know that the staff and the players are already talking about how much they miss him, which signals to me that this team maybe didn't have the depth we all thought they had just a couple weeks ago. And, when we speak about the strength of numbers, the next man up mentality, kind of like what we're seeing with the 49ers, it just gets to a point where it's just too much. And I'm not saying that the loss of DeAnthony Melton and potentially Draymond Green for the next few weeks is too much to overcome, but it's going to be if no one else can step up, especially in the month of December. Again, let me just pull up the Warriors schedule right now. Their schedule, as Jared Jones likes to say. So you got the Rockets tomorrow, the team you're going to be facing in the in-season tournament semifinals next week in Houston. But you got the Rockets tomorrow at Chase Center. And then on Friday, on the back end of a back-to-back, you've got the Minnesota Timberwolves. And then you got the Timberwolves again on Sunday. So you got the Rockets, T-Wolves twice, And then you got the Rockets again next Wednesday. So you're going to have some time here, potentially. And then you got the in-season tournament. So maybe, just maybe, you get Draymond Green back. You're hoping, if it's only a 2-week thing, you get him back, Grizzlies, Memphis time, December 19th, after the NBA Cup's over. Then you got the T-Wolves in Minnesota, the 21st. So I don't know the injury yet. We don't know the severity of the injury yet. They're going to get an MRI. We'll find out more as the day goes on. If there's any breaking news, we will provide it to you. It's Wednesday, right? Do we got Anthony Slater joining the morning roast at some point today? I think Anthony Slater. I'll confirm as the show goes on. But Slate's our 95.7 The Game Warriors insider and covers the team for The Athletic. He might be able to shine some light on what he's hearing in regards to that injury. And this team's 5-game losing streak right now. They were just the best team in the Western Conference, and now they're all the way to the 7th. And the West is just stacked. I mean, we knew that too. We knew certain teams weren't going to be down forever. We knew the Mavericks weren't going to be that bad early on. And the Mavericks are 9-1 in their last 10. They've won 5 in a row when you've lost 5 in a row. They look great. The Grizz look great. Clippers, 14-9. Ty Lue, give him his respect. Thunder, we knew the Thunder. And then the Houston Rockets who you're going to be facing tomorrow. They played very well. They're 7-3 in their last 10. And then you got the Nuggets. You got the Lakers after the Warriors. You got the Suns, obviously. So it's a tight Western Conference here. And that was a tough loss. And I want to hear from Dub Nation. 888-957-9570. We're going to take a quick break here. We got one segment down, 2 more to go. And I do want to get to the Warriors. And check that. I want to get to the 49ers at some point because Brian Baldinger and Tim Kawakami had some very interesting things to say yesterday, courtesy of the River Islands guest line. And I want to get to that, but we'll talk more Warriors on the other side. Steve Kerr laying into Brandon Podziemski. What do you think about that, Dub Nation? Was that Kerr putting Podziemski on notice saying, hey, I don't mind putting you on the bench and giving you and not playing you late in the game if you're going to be doing that? Was that a learning moment? Was there something more to that? Because I have not heard Kerr rip into a player like that in quite some time. So 888-957-9570 is the number as the pregame show. Joe Spadoni rolls on 95.7 The Game.
Many architects and builders who team up with Golden State Window and Door Design
it's Brandon Podziemski. You're listening to the pregame show with Joe Spadoni on 95.7 The Game.
Nah, I don't even think offensive. I think offensively I was fine. 2 turnovers. I thought I was fine there. I think try to make the right play as much as I could. I think defensively is where I was pressing a little bit. But offensively I felt fine.
Brandon Podziemski there after the Warriors' 119-115 loss to the Denver Nuggets. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Hope you're all having a lovely, brisk morning here in the Bay Area or wherever you're listening to on the free Odyssey app on YouTube. Because we're coast to coast, LA, New York. We're over in Australia. We've been out in the Netherlands, Holland, some call it, Canada, right? Argentina, Brazil. We're everywhere, baby. We're also in San Jose. That's where Chrissy, our guy Chrissy, wants to get started here. And he has some thoughts on Brandon Podziemski and maybe what Steve Kerr had to say after the game in regards to Podziemski's performance. What's going on, Chrissy? How you doing, bud?
Hey, Spadoni. Morning, sir. How are you? Sometimes I just get into it. How are you doing today? You good?
Yeah, I'm good. It's a Wednesday. It's a hump day, baby. We're getting through it.
It's a hump day. We're getting through the week, kid. Another loss. It's tough. I might have been a little heated with the call screener and my tone, but to me, it's like we're talking, at the end of the day, we're talking about a 21-year-old kid. I mean, maybe people are finally coming around to realize that he's a backup guard on a quality team's rotation, probably like the 4th, maybe the 5th one when it's all said and done. So it just feels, I don't know about Kerr's motivating techniques. I know each player's different. Pods comes across as a little bit grittier than a guy like Kuminga. Moody comes across as the penultimate, professional who he can handle whatever you throw his way. So maybe Kerr is using this to, skin a little bit, motivate him, wake him up, whatever it is. And that's different than his approach to Kuminga. But at the end of the day, it kind of just feels like he's a little bit of a bully. I mean, Pods wasn't wrong. He did make some egregious mistakes. At the end of the day, 2 turnovers. You're asking a backup point guard to play borderline starter minutes. So, again, I called Steiny yesterday. This is exactly why you need a guy like D'Anthony Melton, because this Pods debate would not be much of a debate when he's averaging 12 minutes a night. GP2's playing 15. Kyle Anderson's playing 15. You know what I mean? We need Melton. We needed him to eat up some of those minutes. So it's just, I don't know about, I want some consistency with Kerr. I know Draymond's a Hall of Famer. I know Curry's a Hall of Famer. Those guys make some of the most bone-headed turnovers I've ever seen in the history of the game. Game 7, NBA Finals 2016, Steph Curry's doing a behind-the-back pass to Clay. Goes right out of bounds. We can't score the last 4 minutes because these guys continue to make boneheaded plays and turnovers. So did Kerr ever yell at them? Or because they're an MVP and a Hall of Famer and a great this, that, the other? I mean, Kerr is more fired up about Brandon Podziemski throwing a lob. That was, oh, my God, it was so bad. Then Draymond punching out a teammate, getting suspended, yelling. Everything's behind closed doors when it comes to the veterans. But the rookies, he's gutless. He comes out there and he wants to roast and base the rookies. Like, what are you doing, dude? You want to put them under the broiler? And then Curry and Dre, we'll deal with them behind closed doors. Curry's playing not great. We need his shots to fall. But this guy turns the ball over 4, the single arm pass, over the shoulder, not looking, doing the same thing he's done for 15 years. Love him. Stud. One of the best offensive players in the game. But if you want to talk about a 21-year-old backup point guard being the reason you lost the game, that's foolish. That's out of touch. Keep it consistent with the rest of your players, big dog. Sorry, Spadone. I ended up getting a little heated with you as well. But, yeah, I just need some consistency from Kerr. And I can't wait to hear what you say about the Niners because, boy, oh, boy, like I've told you, they're about to rebuild. And depending on what happens with the Warriors this year, maybe they make a splash. We're on the precipice of a rebuild with the Warriors too, Spadoni.
Oh, no.
So give me Macklin Celebrini. Give me the Sharks, baby. We're coming back. Give us another couple years. Macklin's leading us to the Connor Smythe Trophy, baby. You have a great day, Spadoni. Love you, buddy.
There he is. Chrissy in San Jose. I wish I had that much energy sometimes. I think he has that energy at like 4 a.m, Chris in San Jose. And I listen, that loss last night was draining, but also it could be an energizer, right? That energized money it could be one of two things. You can be demoralized or you can just have anger and passion. And I get it. I think that's what Steve Kerr had yesterday. And Chris, God love him. And he kind of said it. He's like, yeah, I understand that, Steph and Draymond are future Hall of Famers and they're, champions. And that's why they're not going to get ripped. Like that's why. Brandon Podziemski had to be the sacrificial lamb, the fall guy, the whipping boy, whatever. That was a message to the whole team. And that's what coaches do. They isolate a certain player, but that's a message for the entire team. That's a coach that's frustrated with the style of play right now, with 5-game losing streak, doesn't have Draymond Green out there, doesn't have DeAnthony Melton out there, and Brandon Podziemski was not good defensively. But you got to sometimes look deeper than what's at face value, and I get it. I get where guys like Chris are coming from. Hey, why pick on the young guy that's already struggling this season? You think that's going to help him? Well, maybe it is. Hey, Podziemski likes to talk a lot. He likes to talk a lot. So maybe this is Steve Kerr's way of motivating him through the media. And he already did it during the game, and you heard Pod saying that. And, there needs to be accountability from the young guys as well as the older guys. And I know Stephen Curry is going to be accountable. Draymond Green in the past has really not been held accountable, but this season, for the most part, when he's been out there, he's been held accountable, and he has done his due diligence, and he has been a good warrior, great warrior this season. Probably their second best player, consistency-wise. Definitely on the defensive end. They missed him last night, late in that game. That is a fact. Steve Kerr on the NBA being unforgiving.
This league is unforgiving. If you think you're going to, get on a highlight reel, show everybody, what a special play you can make, it's going to be a turnover. We got to hit singles. We got to make simple decisions, and when we do that, we're really good. But when we try too hard, try to make plays on our own, we get into trouble, and that's why we ended up with 15 turnovers in a game where we had 1 through 20 minutes of the game. So,
trying to get on a highlight reel. I think Steve Kerr either expounded on this or this is a longer cut of that one, and I really do want to listen to it. This is the angriest I've heard from Steve Kerr in quite some time.
I think what happened was, I looked at the stat sheet, 4 minutes left in the second quarter. We had 18 assists and 1 turnover. We might have had 1 more for a shot clock violation, but only 1 miscue because we were hitting singles. And then we turned it over 3 or 4 times in the last few minutes of the first half and gave up a 12-point lead because we tried to hit home runs. And this league is unforgiving. If you think you're going to, get on a highlight reel, show everybody, what a special play you can make, it's going to be a turnover. We got to hit singles. We got to make simple decisions, and when we do that, we're really good. But when we try too hard, try to make plays on our own, we get into trouble, and that's why we ended up with 15 turnovers in a game where we had 1 through 20 minutes of the game. So I didn't feel like they were forced by the defense either. No offense to Denver, but I'm going to look at those turnovers, and I might see 1 or 2, but almost all of them are unforced. And so, part of being a good team is decision making. It can't just be about talent or whether you make shots or not. It's got to be about decision making. We have to become a better decision making team. That's what's frustrating right now is poor decisions are leading to poor possessions, which is leading to this losing streak. So that's what's happening.
And that's what's happening right now for the Golden State Warriors. We're going to take a steel toe on the other side, 888-957-9570. Put a bow on this Golden State Warriors conversation before handing it off to Bonte Hill and Joe Shasky, the Morning Roast. They're coming up in about, 18 minutes. But before that, your calls, your texts next on the pregame show on 95.7 The Game.
Planning to propose this holiday? Shane Company is ready to help you find your dream engagement ring. We handpick the most beautiful diamonds and colorful gemstones in all shapes and sizes. So when you walk in the door, you can trust your rock is in stock. At Shane Company, we've always sourced directly, cut out the middleman, and pass the savings on to you. We work with your budget, not against it. We'll also protect your ring.
Activities and historical presentations. Go to sfhistory.org and discover the San Francisco Historical Society, giving our history a great future. Become a member today.
So we'll be locked and loaded all week for that, but right now and today, it is a Warriors Wednesday brought to you by Freedman's Appliance. And check out Freedman's Appliance in Pleasant Hill because Sam Lubman and I broadcasted there a few months ago, and it is awesome. They got live working vignettes. They got all the appliances you'll ever need. They got affordable. They got some bougie ones. They got everything. They got financing options. They got, it's great. You're going to love it. All right. Freedman's Appliance, Pleasant Hill. Be there or be square. We got one more segment before handing it off to Bonte and Joe Shasky. We've been talking about Nuggets 119-115 win over the Golden State Warriors. Nuggets improved to 11-8 on the year. Warriors 12-8 on a 5-game losing streak. What's going on with the Dubs right now? Is it as simple as, and I've seen this on the Comcast Biz text line. Oh, they're in every one of these games. They should have won all of them that they've lost. Well, should they have or could they have? And I hate to be the wordsmith, and I hate to go Matt Steinmetz and go back to being a teacher. They could have won these games. I'm not giving them they should have won these games. You know who should win games? The Boston Celtics. That's a team that should win every single game if they're in it with 5 minutes to go. The Oklahoma City Thunder. They should have won a game, right? They should win games that are close. I don't know if I'm giving that to the Warriors right now. Not where they've been the last couple of years. If they're coming off a championship season, sure, they should have won these games, but they're not. This current losing streak and the way the Warriors look right now is very reminiscent of how they've looked the last couple seasons. And I don't want to use the saying, but the more things change, the more they stay the same. It's kind of ringing true right now this season. Steel Toe, what's going on, man? Steel Toe's in San Mateo. He wants to join in the conversation. You're on the pregame show. Joe Spadoni.
Yeah, thank you, Spadoni. Happy holidays. Yeah, I just feel like this Podziemski and the Steve Kerr situation. I think Steve Kerr doesn't understand that in order for Podziemski to get his full potential, he can't play like he's like going to be like Klay Thompson, have good defense and shoot threes with ball handling skills. And in order for Podziemski to really reach his potential, he has to be a kind of guard that knows how to get to the foul line and score in the paint, like we just saw from Dennis Schroeder. Somebody like that, like what Donovan Mitchell or Garland do in Cleveland, those shorter guards that know how to get to the foul line. And then Steve Kerr does not have that kind of knowledge, how to teach this team how to get to the foul line. That's why they're dead last in the foul line. And I don't know what knowledge does Steve Kerr have to help with Podziemski doing that. We had Jordan Poole who knew how to get to the foul line because he had unbelievable talent and speed. to get to the paint. He was the last guy who could score in the paint for the Warriors, and they got rid of him. And then I just feel like Steve Kerr does not have the knowledge to help Podziemski reach his potential. Thank you.
Steel toe, very high on Brandon Podziemski, and he doesn't think that Steve Kerr has the knowledge to reach his. What is the potential of Brandon Podziemski? And I would have liked to ask Steel toe, but it's early morning. He's got to go, work on a construction site with his steel toe boots, I would assume. And shout out to all you construction workers that are up this early. If you're listening to me, God love you guys. You guys are awesome. There's some days where I do feel like the Office Space Peter, who was a Ron Livingston's character, where it's just like, man, it would be nice to just go out and just break a bunch of stuff. And not saying that's what construction people do, but just go out there and at a scrap site and just hammer away something. It's just feels great. Liberating at times. But to Steel Toe's point, he's saying he doesn't think Steve Kerr can, get Brandon Podziemski to reach his potential. I don't know what his potential is outside of being a backup point guard. I don't think he's going to be a starter on a championship team. I don't think that of Brandon Podziemski. Do the Warriors think that of him? I mean, they thought highly of him in the summer not to trade him. I kept hearing all the rumors. Oh, Pods. Let's keep Pods. Oh. Let's dangle Kuminga and Moody. Oh, but Pods, we can't know. Really? I mean, really? What is his value around the league right now? Can't be that high, especially with what we've seen this season. And he mentioned, Steel Toe, that he wants the likes of a Dennis Schroeder or something like that. Can you get to that? Well, Dennis Schroeder has been playing professional basketball since he was like 16. He's 31. He's had a lot of time to develop into what he is now, which is a capable starter at times if you need him to. But I'd rather have him as a backup off the bench for probably a championship team. Now, he was the backup for the Lakers at times, and he was a starter at times for them a couple seasons ago when they made it to the Western Conference Finals, ended up getting swept in what was the greatest sweep in the history of the Western Conference Finals, some might say.
The Lakers absolutely were terrific in going down in this series. I'm not sure I've seen a more impressive performance in a sweep ever.
Thank you, Brian Windhorst, ESPN. That still is an all-timer. Oh, man. But that being said, even Dennis Schroeder had to, take the licks and play for Atlanta for 5 seasons and played in Germany prior to that, and OKC, Lakers, Boston, Houston, Toronto. Now he's on Brooklyn. And who knows? Maybe that's a guy that you can target if you really want him. But during this 5-game losing streak and looking at the schedule coming up, if they don't turn this thing around fast, the expectations for this season are quickly going to start shifting and changing. Now, you have Stephen Curry, you have Draymond Green, and again, we'll wait and see what the prognosis is on his calf, dealing with the calf strain. But it's going to be hard to swallow if you're a guy like Steph Curry, who at the beginning of the season, he thought, hey, maybe we got something here. But even he was a little skeptical. Just over the weekend, his comments saying, yeah, I don't know if this is something that could stick, if this 13-man rotation can stick. Guys need to have set roles and defined roles and be in a rhythm. That is important. You can see it in Podziemski. You can see it with Kuminga. You can see it with Moody, especially the young guys not having consistency. It's one thing if you're a Kyle Anderson. It's one thing if you're a Buddy Hield, and even Buddy Hield's been struggling, and you're going to be off the bench in that role. But at any given point, you could be a spot starter of a Moody, a Kuminga, a Podziemski. Then how many minutes are you going to get? And you're not going to play. Or is it going to be Lindy Waters? It's a mix and match Rubik's Cube puzzle right now for Steve Kerr. And he's going through it. And you could hear his frustration after the game. Even he's going through it. The league is unforgiving. You heard that. And then the turnovers. And here he is talking about those and how enforced they were.
I didn't feel like they were forced by the defense either. No offense to Denver, but I'm going to look at those turnovers and I might see 1 or 2, but almost all of them are unforced. And so, part of being a good team is decision making. It can't just be about talent or whether you make shots or not. It's got to be about decision making. We have to become a better decision making team. That's what's frustrating right now is poor decisions are leading to poor possessions. which is leading to this losing streak. So that's what's happening.
The turnover battle was actually interesting because the Denver Nuggets, you want to know it, had more turnovers. They had 15 to the Warriors 14. But the foul disparity, 25 personal fouls for the Golden State Warriors, 15 for the home team, the Denver Nuggets. And again, I already mentioned the free throw disparity in this one, 35 to 21 attempts in favor of Denver. It's just, that's the difference right there. I mean, turnovers and then just sending them to the line. It's just not good defense. And you can't do that when you're out of Draymond Green and you're out DeAnthony Melton, when we're trying to find someone else to step up besides Steph Curry, who's obviously not having his A game last night as well. And this was the theme last season. If Steph doesn't have his A game, it's going to be very difficult to win. I need Wiggins to step up in a game like that, and he didn't. He's been good this year, but in a game like that, I need him to be a more efficient scorer, a more aggressive, like 7 attempts only. Like, that's the thing, too. 7 free throw field goal attempts? Come on. That's why I wasn't mad at Kuminga. 9 of 18, like he was trying, 19 points, second highest score for the team. He was trying to do something. Now he got blocked by Jokic late yesterday and wasn't good, but I'm not mad at the young player trying to create something and trying to use his side speeds and athletics, like trying out there. He's try. 7 attempts. 7 from Andrew Wiggins yesterday. It's not good enough. It's just not good enough. Stephen Curry talking about how tough that one was to swallow.
I mean, their chemistry and cohesion, they don't ever get rattled, which is why it hurts to have had the game won a couple times in the fourth and just couldn't maintain momentum. And I mean, obviously against them, it happened a couple times last year too. It is it's a tough one to swallow because we played well enough, even with our kind of dry spells and boneheaded turnovers. We still had enough, to have a double-digit lead in the fourth quarter and lose.
888-957-9570 is the number. Start lining them up. Bonte Hill and Joe Shasky. They're going to be taking over here in just a second. Denver 119, Golden State 115. And the guys are fired up in the back. And I think they're going to talk about it on the next show. And it's not specifically Warriors related, but the golden at bat rule, I think it might be worse than some of the greatest rivalries of all time. There's a line being divided within 95-7 the game right now with this golden at bat rule. I love it, by the way. First of all, hey, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, the golden at bat rule that is being proposed in Major League Baseball, you could bring up any player you have in a key situation, in a key at bat. So let's say the Giants are up and you need and you have the bases loaded and you have a handful of players to pick on your bench and let's say, I don't know, Mike Yastrzemski's up, but you want Elliot Ramos. You know what? We're going to use this golden at bat rule. Elliot Ramos, come on up. You're taking back Mike Yastrzemski's at bat. Or if it's the Dodgers, you got Tommy Edman up. And you know what? I'd rather have Shohei Ohtani. You could do that. So I think it's fascinating. They'll get into that, but Warriors, they'll get into that as well. Anthony Slater joining the boys, I believe, in the 8 o'clock hour, courtesy of the River Islands guest line. And it is a Warriors Wednesday, brought to you by Friedman's Appliance. And the Morning Roast is up next on 95.7 The Game.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM in